inside the Browns' locker room, frustration is no longer hidden. Players whisper, eyes roll, and the energy feels fractured. Dylan Gabriel's struggles haven't just cost games. They've cost belief. Teammates who once defended him now look deflated, unsure who's really leading the charge.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
SS Press Conference. Meanwhile, the growing admiration for Shedeur Sanders has become impossible to ignore. His reputation for composure and leadership at Colorado has made him the figure many in Cleveland are quietly rooting for. Even if they won't say it out, this moment defines the franchise's future. Coach Stefanski's decision could either restore faith or shatter what's left of it. A switch to Sanders offers not just a spark, but a statement. That Cleveland values accountability, confidence, and readiness above sentiment. Gabriel's story might not be over, but the team's direction depends on choosing a quarterback who can steady the storm. And Sanders has already proven he thrives in one. The Cleveland Browns have reached a breaking point, and it's not subtle anymore. After 5 brutal starts, Dylan Gabriel's time as QB1 is under a microscope, and frankly, under fire. The loss to the Jets wasn't just ugly, it was the tipping point. What started as cautious optimism has now turned into full-blown skepticism. And the noise? It's coming from every corner of the organization. A former Browns CEO is now reportedly urging head coach Kevin Stefanski to make the move that no one wants to say out loud, but everyone is thinking. Bench Gabriel. Put in Shedeur Sanders. Shift the future now. And here's the thing. This pressure isn't coming out of nowhere. It's a result of 5 games where Gabriel hasn't just struggled. He's shown no growth, no fire, no control. The Browns didn't expect perfection from a young quarterback, but they did expect progress. And what they've seen instead is a player who panics under pressure, locks in on reads, fails to move the pocket, and crumbles in high-stakes situations. His press conference after the Jets game didn't help. It wasn't defiant. It wasn't accountable. It was empty, defeated, the kind of energy that tells you everything you need to know. He doesn't have the mental grip to pull this team out of a nosedive. And here's where things get messy. Because while Gabriel continues to spiral, the Browns are sitting on a quarterback in Shedeur Sanders who checks every box they're missing. Throwing mechanics? Clean. Pressure response? Calm. Decision-making? Fast. Leadership? Evident. Confidence? Through the roof. At Colorado, Sanders didn't just put up numbers. He carried the team with poise and presence that looked pro-ready long before the draft was even on the table. People inside the building see this. They're watching film. They're comparing tendencies. And it's not just about Gabriel versus Sanders on a stat sheet. It's about everything that comes with quarterback play. The tone a leader sets. The confidence they project. The respect they command. Gabriel hasn't shown any of that. Sanders already has. But the internal division within the organization is the real storm cloud. Some want to rip the Band-Aid off and pivot hard toward Sanders. Others are frozen, worried about optics, reputations, and admitting they made a mistake. Because if Stefanski benches Gabriel now, he's not just swapping quarterbacks. He's admitting that their evaluation of Gabriel was wrong, that their off-season prep failed. And in the NFL, that kind of admission carries weight. Weight that can get people. That's the dilemma. If Stefanski keeps Gabriel in and the Browns continue to lose, his job is on the line. If he benches Gabriel and Sanders struggles, he still wears the consequences. But here's the catch. There's no scenario where doing nothing doesn't cost him. This isn't just about Gabriel's performance. It's about organizational survival. The franchise is once again staring down the barrel of a lost season, and the quarterback position is, once again, the root of the problem. Gabriel isn't getting better. That's not speculation. It's reality. 5 starts in and he's still rattled, indecisive, and slow. This isn't just rookie rust. This is a ceiling. A ceiling the Browns can't afford to keep bumping their heads against while the season collapses underneath them. Shedeur Sanders isn't a long shot. He's not a panic move. He's a calculated bet on a quarterback who has already shown leadership confidence and the ability to operate under pressure. And frankly, right now, that's everything Cleveland's offense is missing. Shedeur. And let's not ignore the off-field impact. This isn't just about touchdowns and turnovers. It's about marketability, morale, and momentum. The Browns are fading fast. The fan base is frustrated. The buzz is gone. A switch to Sanders? That would reignite something. It would energize a fan base that's seen this movie too many times and knows exactly how it ends if nothing changes. Start Sanders and suddenly people care again about the team, about the direction, about what could be. It's not just a football decision. It's a business one. Merch moves. Tickets sell. Media attention returns. The Browns become more than a weekly cautionary tale. But none of that happens if Stefanski stays stuck in neutral. Right now, every sign points to a team in crisis, refusing to admit it. And it's that refusal, not the losing, that's going to cost them the most. Because the NFL doesn't reward hesitation. It punishes it. Sanders gives the Browns a reset. Not a guaranteed fix, but a shot. A chance to turn the narrative, rally the team, and build forward. And that's more than Gabriel's offered in 5. This is the Browns' chance to stop clinging to a plan that clearly isn't working. To admit that loyalty to the wrong. Quarterback is not a virtue. It's a liability. And to understand that sometimes the boldest move is simply the correct one. So, where does this go from here? If Stefanski pulls the trigger and starts Sanders, he's betting on talent over pride. He's saying the franchise matters more than ego. He's saying he's willing to be wrong about Gabriel, if it means being right about the team. But if he sticks with Gabriel, if he drags this out, he's not just risking the season. He's risking the locker room, the fan base, and probably his job. The writing is on the wall. The clock is ticking. And the longer the Browns wait, the more irreversible the damage becomes. Let us know what you think. Should Shedeur Sanders be starting for the Browns right now? Or is there still something left in the Dylan Gabriel experiment? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you've seen enough, and make sure you subscribe. Because whatever the Browns do next, it's going to shape the future. And you won't want to miss what comes next. There's no hiding from this anymore. The Browns have reached that all-too-familiar boiling point, where the promise of a fresh start has curdled into the same bitter cycle of disappointment. And at the center of it all, once again, is the 5 games into the Dylan Gabriel experiment. And the result isn't just disappointing, it's damning. There's no upward trend, no spark, no signs that he's adjusting to the speed or complexity of the NFL. And now, with the season teetering on collapse, the narrative has officially shifted. This isn't about patience. This is about damage control. And that's exactly why a former Browns CEO is stepping in, not officially, but loud enough to rattle the entire structure, and demanding what more and more people inside the building already know is inevitable. Start Shedeur Sanders. This isn't noise from the fan base. It's not media chatter. This is internal, executive level. And it's not hard to understand why someone who knows how franchises fall apart would sound the alarm this loudly. Because the longer Gabriel starts, the deeper this hole gets, and the harder it becomes to climb out of it. Every quarterback gets a learning curve. That's expected. But Gabriel hasn't just failed to rise. He's shown no trajectory at all. It's been 5 straight games of delayed reads, collapsed pockets, and a complete inability to execute under pressure. You don't need all 22 film to see it. The indecisiveness, the mechanical breakdowns, the panic, and now the confidence is gone. When your quarterback's body language tells you he's already defeated before the second quarter, that's not a fixable scheme issue. That's a fundamental leadership problem. And it's not just visible to fans. That kind of energy spreads. It seeps into the locker room. The huddle gets quieter. Players stop fighting for extra yards. The defense, exhausted from bailing out the offense every week, starts breaking, not because of effort, but because of belief. Or, in this case, the lack of it. And meanwhile, sitting right there on the bench is Shedeur Sanders, a quarterback with poise, composure, confidence, someone who's handled pressure far better at the collegiate level than Gabriel has shown through 5 pro starts. It's not just about the throws. It's the presence, the control, the leadership, all the things that should come from your starter, but currently don't. Let's be real. The case for Sanders isn't hype. It's reality. And it's what's fueling this internal debate tearing through the Browns' leadership right now. So on a move now. Pivot hard. Hit reset before the season is completely gone. Others are hesitating. Not because they believe in Gabriel, but because they're afraid of what admitting failure means for them. Because that's what this is about now. Benching Gabriel isn't just a football decision. It's an organizational confession. It says, we were wrong. And in a league that punishes every mistake with a microscope and a headline, owning that publicly takes guts. Stefanski, especially, is at the heart of that conflict. If he makes the switch and it doesn't work, the critics will say he panicked. If he doesn't make the switch and the team keeps losing, his tenure in Cleveland is probably over anyway. He's stuck between protecting his reputation or protecting the team, and time's up. There's no more waiting to see what Gabriel can do. We know what he can do. We've seen it. He can't handle pressure. He can't push the ball downfield consistently. And he doesn't command the offense. The problems aren't shrinking. They're getting worse. You want to talk development? Fine. But development only matters if there's a foundation to build on. And right now, Gabriel's foundation is crumbling. There's no confidence to develop, no instinct, no reaction time. Just a quarterback who looks more and more like he's drowning. Now contrast that with Sanders. Everything about him suggests readiness. He processes the field with speed. He protects the football. He shows a calm, methodical approach to chaos. And that's what separates the pros from the projects. Sanders is more than just a high-upside prospect. He looks like a quarterback who belongs at this level. And more than that, he looks like a quarterback who can lead. That alone should be enough to spark change. But there's more. Because this isn't just a football move, it's a franchise shift. A pivot. A chance to start building towards something sustainable. Instead of clinging to a failed plan out of pride, replacing Gabriel with Sanders wouldn't just change the locker room. It would change the tone of the season. You'd re-energize the fan base overnight. Suddenly, games are exciting again. The team becomes relevant. There's hope. And for a franchise like the Browns, who spend the better part of 2 decades being defined by what could have been, that matters. But every week they wait, they lose that momentum. And this isn't just a warning. It's a forecast. If the Browns don't move on from Gabriel soon, they risk more than just a few extra losses. They risk locking themselves into a multi-year spiral. Another quarterback they stuck with too long. Another coaching regime that wouldn't act. Another season gone before November. There's no way to sugarcoat it. The Browns are on the edge. And the only thing standing between another lost year and a possible turnaround is the courage to make a tough call, one that might sting in the short term, but could save the franchise in the long term. The Browns have done this dance before. They've stood by quarterbacks who weren't ready, who couldn't win, who couldn't grow. And every time they hesitated, the fallout got worse. This time, the answer is sitting on the bench, ready. Sanders might not be perfect. He might not fix everything. But the floor is already collapsing beneath Gabriel. What's left to lose? This is where leadership either shows up or disappears. And if Stefanski wants to prove he still has control of this team, this locker room, and his future, then there's only one move to make. Start Shedeur Sanders. Give this team a reason to believe again. Give the fans something to rally around. Give the offense someone who isn't panicked in the pocket before the ball's even snapped. Because Dillon Gabriel isn't going to turn this around. Not in Week 6. Not in Week 10. Not this season. And probably not ever. At this point, it's not about whether Shedeur Sanders could be the better quarterback. It's about whether the Browns are finally ready to admit that Dillon Gabriel isn't. And based on everything we've seen through 5 games, that admission is long overdue. Because let's stop pretending this is a developmental year. That ship sailed after Week 2. This team wasn't built to tank. The roster isn't some collection of practice squad tryouts and late-round flyers. This is a franchise with legitimate talent at multiple positions. Players who are expecting to compete. Not babysitter quarterbacks still figuring out where the blitz is coming from. And yet, here we are, 5 games in, and the offense is still looking for a rhythm. Gabriel's reads are late. The pocket presence is non-existent. And worst of all, there's no accountability. Every post-game press conference sounds the same. A vague acknowledgement of needing to be better, with zero signs of actual growth. This isn't just a mechanical issue. It's mental. It's emotional. It's leadership or the lack of it. Quarterbacks don't have to be perfect, but they do have to be convincing. Gabriel, he looks like he's trying to convince himself. And that's why this whole thing is unraveling. The longer you try to convince a locker room that a quarterback like that can lead them, the faster they check out. Meanwhile, the Browns are sitting on Shedeur Sanders, a quarterback who, by all accounts, is already showing the exact qualities Gabriel lacks. Composure, confidence, clarity. At Colorado, he wasn't just making throws. He was directing traffic. He wasn't just reacting to the game. He was controlling it. And for a team like Cleveland, that level of control is exactly what they've been missing. This isn't about jumping ship after a rough stretch. It's about recognizing when the plan doesn't work. The truth is, Gabriel isn't trending toward improvement. He's trending toward being yet another name on the Browns' long list of quarterback misfires. Let's not act like we haven't seen this story before. Start the rookie. Tell the media you believe in him. Watch him fumble through a few games. Hope the light bulb goes off. Then, by week 8, start having internal conversations about other options. Only by then, the season's already torched, the locker room's fractured, and the fan base is halfway checked. You want to avoid that? Then don't wait. The internal pressure from that former Browns CO isn't just noise. It's a signal. It's the warning flare being launched before things really fall apart. When executives start bypassing standard chains of communication to apply heat on the coaching staff, it's because they know the clock is ticking. And Kevin Stefanski? He's running out of time. Fast. Keeping Gabriel under center isn't just risky now. It's negligent. He's had 5 starts. That's more than enough of a sample size. You got all the data you need. At some point, hoping for a breakthrough becomes, and it's not just fans or executives who see it. The players see it too. They see the hesitation in the huddle. They feel the lack of urgency. And even if they don't say it in interviews, they know when their quarterback isn't the guy. That kind of doubt spreads faster than any injury or turnover ever could. Shedeur Sanders isn't a gamble. He's a logical next step. You don't need to overthink this. He's a quarterback who's demonstrated a consistent ability to lead, adapt, and stay calm under pressure. The way he operates under fire, that's what NFL teams pay for. And it's the exact opposite of what we've seen from Gabriel. Let's get even more real. This isn't just about what's happening on the field. It's what's not happening off it. The business side of the organization is watching morale sink. Ticket sales? Dipping. Merchandise? Stagnant. Local buzz? Fading. Cleveland isn't just losing games. They're losing relevance. And in today's NFL, relevance is currency. Shedeur, you want to reignite that energy? You start the quarterback people are actually excited about. Shedeur doesn't just bring upside. He brings hope. And for a franchise that spent years selling hope and delivering heartbreak, a player who might actually back it up is gold. Think about the message it sends. Not just to fans, but to the league. That Cleveland isn't content to ride out a failed plan just to save face. That they're willing to make a hard call, admit a mistake, and pivot towards something better. That's leadership. That's culture. That's how you stop the bleeding before it becomes... And let's not ignore what a continued commitment to Gabriel means from a legacy standpoint. If Stefanski stays with him much longer, it won't just be seen as faith. It'll be seen as stubbornness. And stubbornness gets coaches fired. Because when ownership starts hearing that the locker room's unhappy, that executives are meddling, and that fans are quitting, they don't ask for patience. They ask for change. If Stefanski wants to prove he's a guy to lead this team, then now's the time to act like it. Because there's only so long you can defend a quarterback who isn't defending you with his performance. Start Sanders. Shift the narrative. Reclaim control. And if it doesn't work, fine. At least you went down swinging. But going down with Gabriel? That's not brave. That's predictable. That's how you become another coach in Cleveland's long line of almosts. Sanders brings a new tone. He brings optimism. He brings a chance at competence. And right now, that's more than Gabriel can offer. The gap isn't theoretical anymore. It's obvious. And if the Browns don't see it, they will. Probably too late. The truth is, this isn't just about Dylan Gabriel anymore. It's about what the Cleveland Browns stand for as an organization. Are they a team willing to evolve, to make difficult but necessary changes in the face of undeniable failure? Or are they the same old franchise that clings to bad decisions just to avoid a PR bruise? Because that's what's on the line now. Not just the next game, not just the standings, but the Browns' identity. Everything about Gabriel's performances screams indecision. On the field, in pressers, in body language, it's a pattern. There's no leadership, no urgency, and it's not getting better. 5 starts in. The Browns aren't just hoping he improves. They're praying he doesn't get worse. But that's the standard now? Survival? You think Myles Garrett and the rest of that defense are grinding out possessions so the quarterback can toss 3-yard checkdowns on 3rd and 12? You think the locker room is going to keep buying in when the offense can't stay on the field longer than 2 minutes? There's a point where development becomes delusion. The Browns are there. And if Kevin Stefanski doesn't act fast, this thing's going to go from disappointing to toxic. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just a popular choice, he's the right one. The guy already has the intangibles that NFL teams salivate over. He's cool under pressure. He processes the field like a pro, and most importantly, he leads. You feel it when he steps into a huddle. You see it when the game's on the... That's what this team needs. Not a project, not a placeholder, a presence. And look, no one's expecting Sanders to come in and light up the league from day one. That's not the point. The point is that he gives Cleveland a direction again. He gives the fans something to believe in. He gives the locker room someone to follow. Right now, the Browns are rudderless. The offense has no identity. The quarterback has no command. The coaching staff has no answers. It's time. Start Shedeur Sanders. Turn the page. And stop pretending that sticking with a failing quarterback is some noble act of loyalty. It's not. It's how teams lose seasons, then jobs, then reputations. Let us know in the comments. Should Stefanski finally make the switch? Or are the Browns going to keep sinking while the solution rides a bench? Smash that like button if you're ready for change. And subscribe for all the fallout when Cleveland finally faces reality. Because the move is coming. The only question left is whether it'll be on Stefanski's terms or someone else's.